Okay, so that brings us to 8.2, where we need to load a text file to a string and a list. So let's see. So we need to load this text file with names.txt, and then we need to return both a list containing all the names as strings, and then we also need to just load it as a long string, and with just the names. Let's see if we load it as a string, if we need to remove the new lines without the special character. Because I just want to know if we need to preserve the new lines. I'm not really sure if we need to do that. I think we need to remove the new line characters. Let's see. I mean, I guess there are some tests for this this exercise, so we'll see if we get a problem at the very least. So here's the code that we need to call the function with, and then let's find the file. Guess it's called loading. Yes, and then we'll call. This is the one that needs to return a list. So let's print out the result like this. And we need to define this list we need to return. I guess I don't need to solve this in the debugger for once. I think this is, I think it doesn't actually make sense here. Okay, so this function is given a path. So the first thing we need to do is we need to open this path, and we need to do it as reading, and then we need to assign this to a file object like this. I'm maybe getting slightly ahead of myself. We need to assign it to this variable called f, and then we need to type f.read, and that'll give us the content. So that'll give us a string of all the names. Let's actually, I cannot help myself but use the debugger. So I'll insert a breakpoint here, and then we'll just see if it looks correct. So we run it in the debugger. And the reason why this works is because I called the function down here. So it's being called with this path. We just confirm that the path is correct. It is. And then let's see what we actually load from this file. So I go to the debug console, and then we can see that S looks like this. Now the important thing to notice is that it has the names, but it has all of these \n characters, and that's because \n refers to a new line. So if I want to print it out slightly nicer, I use the print character, and that basically transforms the \n into an actual new line and print it out correctly. So these are all the names. So what does this one? It needs to return them as a list. So how do we take this string and transform it into a list of strings? We can maybe use the autocomplete and see there's a split and a split lines. I think split lines is the one that sounds most promising. Actually, I know that it is the most promising, because when we call that, it turns it into this comma-separated list of strings that we want. So we will just return this value. And that should actually work. So we stop it, and then we can just try to run it and see that it actually seems to work. Then we need to solve this one. It should be returned as a string without line breaks. It's a little bit unknown to me if without line breaks means that there should be space between the names, but I think that should. I think it makes sense that there should at the very least. So we'll just print out the result of calling that function. I'll just change the name to what it's supposed to be. So here's maybe a slightly cheap way of doing it. I just use my other function here to get the names as a list of strings, like this. And then I insert a breakpoint and try to come up with a solution in the debugger. So now I go to debug Python file, and I will stop here at the breakpoint. Because now then I run this code, get like this comma separated list of strings. So I assign that to a variable that I call lst for list. And then I can actually use this syntax that you saw. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago maybe, but this is actually a way of joining a list. If you wanted a comma separated list, you could do this, and it can also be multiple characters like this. So you could maybe do and. Okay. But I think this is the answer. So let's just return that like this. Okay. I'm going to remove all the breakpoints, stop the debugger, and just run it. Seems to provide reasonable result. So let's go to the test and check that it works. It did. So apparently it was supposed to be separated by spaces. So this is how you can load the content of a file and do some very simple manipulations. So all the file loading is sort of what we do first, and then we do all the manipulations we want to do in Python as operations on regular strings or operations on a list of strings. Good. So I think I'll stop the video here if I can.